So thank you very much. Now we are progressing, and we are looking at how you progress to the point of going to university.
Well, it was a miracle. It was what I call the Dutch factor in my life.
Hmm.
When I was teaching at St. Bartholomew CMS Primary School at Enugu in 1956, I read the paper and saw an advertisement in African magazine called Drum about story contest called Margaret Prize Story Contest being organized in London in the United Kingdom, requiring an original unpublished story of about 3,000 words.
Hmm.
I entered for the contest with an original story entitled Long Juju's Golden Plate. Although my story failed to win any prize of the prizes, the organizers retained it as a story worthy of publication. At the end of that year, I left Enugu to begin my teacher's training at Nnewi and forgot all about it entirely.
Hmm.
6 years later, when a Dutch lady went to London and happened to come across the manuscript, she liked it and wanted permission from the author to translate it into Dutch language. So she wrote a letter to me with all my address at Enugu on the entry form.
And was it still the same address?
Yeah, the same address where I was in
Okay.
asking me for permission to translate the story
Yeah.
into her language and publish it in one of the stories of books she was writing. But she was not aware that I have left Enugu
That's the
in
question.
December.
Yeah.
Her name was Margrit de Sablonière. Coincidentally or miraculously, during my second year at St. Cyprian's College in Soka in 1963, when I visited a fellow teacher at St. Bartholomew School at Enugu, I was surprised to see a letter from abroad for me, which arrived only 4 days earlier.
Thankfully, because otherwise it would have been lost.
Yeah, it was only when I opened it that I remember that I have entered for a story contest in 1956 when I was teaching there.
Hmm.
Back at Onsoka, I replied her, granting her permission she was asking for. She then sent me a copy of the book written in her own language in which my story was published.
But you lost it now.
Yeah.
Oh.
From then, we started corresponding with each other on regular basis. From her own assessment of the story, she believed that I was very intelligent and that I have verbal aptitude, which, if well developed, could turn me into a writer. She encouraged me to work hard to improve my English and writing skills because she believed that if I could develop my innate potentiality, I could get into a university and then rise to prominence. Believing her encouragement and prophecy, I decided to enroll in one of the correspondent colleges overseas and to work hard in order to obtain qualification that we meet university entry requirement as soon as possible. We continue to correspond on regular basis till July 1965 when I gained admission into two Nigerian universities. University of Nigeria Nsukka to study BSc honors in philosophy, in psychology, and of the University of Ibadan, B.Ed honors in education in religious study and French.
So let me ask some questions. Now you applied for these two. Why psychology?
Because that is what I saw in Nsukka that my qualification could get.
Okay, and then then eventually it became Ibadan.
Yeah.
How did you choose Ibadan?
Because Ibadan was very important at that time. It was British University.
Yeah.
We connected to London University. And Margaret advised me that Ibadan was better.
Okay. And another question is, she said that she was seeing you becoming a writer. And eventually you became a writer.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
It's God used her to make me up. It's an angel. And I said, Dutch angel in my life.
Yeah.
But I didn't meet her. I didn't know her.
You never.
Yeah, I
But
never.
I've seen a picture somewhere. She sent you a picture of her.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen it. Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a lesson we learn, that people should encourage younger ones.
Yeah.
Because it makes a difference in their life.
That's why I spend my time encouraging others.
Yeah.
That's why I told you when we met, I told you that others encourage me, I will encourage others. And the people I've encouraged are encouraging others.
And that thing you mentioned about a correspondence course to write, what use did you make of it eventually?
Because I was just, they give me a thing I study, they ask question, I answer.
Okay.
And surprisingly, the answer, the questions they are giving was, some of them helped me to pass, because it was like the questions they asked in GC area exam.
So it shows also that, in fact, you were studying all the time.
Yeah, I was studying all the time. Even now, I'm still studying.
Yeah. So it's something that is in our family now.
Yeah.
That everybody likes studying, reading.
Yeah.
And I remember how you were enthusiastic about telling all the people in our house that they have to do wide reading.
Wide reading, not only school, but you read everything.
Yeah. Okay, so we continue now. So when you received the admission letters,
when I received the admission letters from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and University of Ibadan, I posted their copies to my Dutch mentress and informed her that I would be forced to reject both offers for admission because of my poor background and lack of sponsorship. Moved by my letter, she sent the amount of money required by university as deposit and advised me to forward it with completed acceptance form. She added that as the University of Ibadan was at that time one of the most famous overseas international universities, she was going to find other ways of helping me to pay the required fees. Then, the following day, I rushed to University of Ibadan and paid deposit and returned my admission before the end of July deadline.
So you traveled physically to Ibadan?
Yeah.
Wow.
Then in August, I received a surprising letter from Netherlands government embassy, Lagos, telling me that his own government will be willing to sponsor my studies at University of Ibadan if my request is routed through federal government of Nigeria. The embassy's letter then advised me to write to Permanent Secretary of Federal Ministry of Education to obtain his approval. I complied and wrote to the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, enclosing the copy of the embassy's letter. In September, I left for the University of Ibadan in faith with little saving I had made.
So they had not replied?
Yeah. And cash present I received from send-off parties. When I arrived at University of Ibadan, I learned from the Deputy Register Academics that the Bureau for External Aid for Education of the Federal University Ministry of Education has written to federal government Netherlands Netherlands Embassy in Lagos, stating that the federal government will not at all oppose to, but rather praise that the Netherlands government has willing to offer sponsorship for a Nigerian citizen to study here in Nigerian University, and copied me through the registry.
Wow.
I photocopied my own copy and posted it to the embassy to confirm that I have received it.
That you had arrived.
I arrived at the University of Ibadan. The embassy then contacted the Deputy Register Academics, Mr. Akupuma, who happened to be personal friend of one of my uncles, late Geoffrey Okonkwo Ejikeme, requesting him to inform them that the total cost of the boarding tuition, books, maintenance, and undergraduate of university, in addition to the total cost of the above mentioned, he added the sum of £50 sterling as yearly estimated cost of maintenance and travel expenses. With the sponsorship I assured, I enjoyed 2 sessions of undergraduate studies at University of Ibadan until June 1967, when I was forced back to homeland at Nnewi in eastern Nigeria because of the booming civil war that eventually broke out on 6th July.
Hmm. So you studied 2 years at Ibadan.
Yeah, before
what are your remembrances about these 2 years?
I was happy studying French, especially French, speaking French and reading religious knowledge, because it's the two subjects that influenced my life.
Why did you choose French?
I don't know, but I think that time French people was very important. French people held Biafra.
But Biafra was not started at that time.
It was helping Nigeria.
Okay.
That's the thing. And then it was common for people to go to Togo and all that, because Nigeria was surrounded by French-speaking people.
And how many were you studying French?
We are not very many. And it was, I know it was Frank, my friend in university, advised me that French was very important because Nigeria is surrounded by French country.
So, I remember one time you said that it was very difficult when you started.
Yeah. I thought about France constructed. I thought France was university. I didn't, but you can. And I persevered.
Yeah, because there were people. There was one person you mentioned, Tunde Ajiboye.
Tunde Ajiboye.
He was very, very good in French.
Yeah.
And he continued. He became a professor of French.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was not easy.
Yeah.
But you had good friends.
Yeah.
You attended Scripture Union there?
Yeah, Scripture Union.
How was it?
That's where I was baptized. I attended Scripture Union. And it helped me religiously, trusting in God.
Oh, thank you very much for today.